find the differences and similarities between two poems, we use the different levels of stylistics such as phonological level, grammatical level, pragmatic level, and the rhyme scheme used for both poems to determine the similarities and differences between the two. And in the phonological level, we use three sound devices such as assonance, consonance, and alliteration. The assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in the same line, and in the poem Mother to Son by Langston Hughes, the sounds O in the 15th line of the poem was used. It is the phrase, "So boy, don't you turn back." While in the poem If by Rudyard Kipling, we found that the sounds E in the phrase was used also. An example of this phrase is, "Fill the forgiving minute and make thoughts your aim." While in the alliteration, in the poem If by Rudyard Kipling, there are several examples used. Alliteration is a device wherein a writer juxtaposes two or more words beginning with the same letter to draw emphasis or create a sense of cohesion. In the poem Mother to Son by Langston Hughes, there is no alliteration used. Instead, the writer used the internal rhyme. While in the consonance, it is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line, as the sounds of T and R are examples of this poem. In the poem Mother to Son by Langston Hughes, "Where there ain't been no light" was used as an example of the phrase. While in the poem If by Rudyard Kipling, the repetition of consonant F is used in the phrase. An example of this is the phrase, "Fill the unforgiving minute." While in the rhyme scheme for both poems, the poem Mother to Son by Langston Hughes is a free verse and has no rhyme scheme, while the poem If by Rudyard Kipling has the rhyme scheme AB AB CD CD. Examining the rhyme and meter, one can see that it is written in iambic pentameter that is usually made use by William Shakespeare. Grammatical level is the third level we used to analyze the two poems. We made two tables to differentiate the different part of speech used for both poems. These are nouns, pronouns, verbs, and adjectives. Next is the pragmatic level. Pragmatics is a branch of linguistics in which one studies the interpretation of comprehension of language in accordance of its context. It is the study of invisible meaning in a text, in a piece of text or spoken or written. In the context-based study including linguistic context, thematic context, pre-existing knowledge, and physical context of the text. In the two poems If by Rudyard Kipling and Mother to Son, the author used some pragmatic features that have been highlighted as follows. These are anaphora. Anaphora is a literary technique in which certain words or phrases are repeated in successive clauses or sentences. In the poem If by Rudyard Kipling, the "if you can" word or phrase is always repeated or repeated several times. Next is the metaphor. Metaphor is a figure of speech which is used literary writings for making an implicit or hidden comparison between two entirely different things. And in the poem If, Kipling has called triumph and disaster the two impostors, which describes a person who disguises himself in order to deceive someone. While in the poem Mother to Son, Langston Hughes used metaphor which represents of life. The author describes a crystal stair to describe life as a crystal stair on the poem. Next is summary of the findings. Using the different levels of stylistic, the results show that there is a comparison between two poems, Mother to Son and If. On phonological level, using sound devices such as alliteration, consonance, and alliteration, both poems lie with the same assonance wherein they both shows with the repetition of vowels. While using alliteration, the poem Mother to Son didn't use at all. Instead, internal rhyme was used in the poem. However, the poem If by Rudyard Kipling have shown several examples or phrases with the use of alliteration. Both poems also shows the use of consonants, wherein both of them uses the repetition of consonants. The poem Mother to Son has no rhyme scheme because it is written in a free verse. However, comparing to another poem, If by Rudyard Kipling, it has a rhyme scheme of ABAB, CD, CD, which shown in the poem. On grammatical level, both poems uses different parts of speech to emphasize the entire poem better. Pragmatic level is also used for both poems, wherein both poems uses metaphor as a comparison to a word in the poem, and the poem If also use anaphora, which the word If used several times. With the conclusion, this study aims to contrast and compare two poems, Mother to Son by Langston Hughes and If by Rudyard Kipling. This study focuses on different levels of stylistics, phonological level, pragmatic level, grammatical level, and rhyme scheme. For phonological level, both poems used the assonance, wherein the repetition of vowel sounds was used. However, there is a comparison between two poems in terms of alliteration and rhyme scheme. The poem Mother to Son by Langston Hughes does not use alliteration, while If by Rudyard Kipling used alliteration as sound devices. In terms of rhyme scheme, Mother to Son is written in a free verse, so rhyme scheme does not use at all. While the poem If by Rudyard Kipling has the rhyme scheme of ABAB, CD, CD. In terms of pragmatic level, metaphor are used for both poems, while anaphora is only used for the poem If by Rudyard Kipling.